Admirola reached out yesterday about doing a portrait, and he asked if I had any requests. I said no. I don't want to have any influence on this at all, and I'm so glad, because this is the result. Artist Journal, January 13th, 2022. Broadcasting to the world from Berlin, Germany. My name is Adrian Pocobelli, and I welcome you back. And once again, a huge thank you for the response on Twitter yesterday. It's just, I just never would have expected it. So feels great. You guys make me feel special. And yeah, I'm glad that people enjoy the show and the subscribers continue to come in. So it's super exciting. It's super fun. And ladies and gentlemen, I am behind schedule. So at least we have some great light in here today, a little bit of sun, a rare little bit of sun in Berlin here, but you don't come here for the weather, you come here for this. And look at this stunning, stunning portrait by Admirola of yours truly. It took me a while. Like when I first looked at this, I was like, this is the strangest portrait I've ever seen. You kind of have the YouTube thing, and I was like, am I the naked guy there? And then there's another older naked guy there. And then I looked over. It was the second time I looked at it, and I saw the guy in the bed. It's called Pocobelli's Dream, and it is just a stunning. I couldn't be happier, and I'm so glad I didn't. Because I probably would have said something like something with pirates or something like that. So, anyways, I'm so glad you do your thing, Ed. Because wow. This is like pure Admirola, and you gotta love, let me see if I can zoom in a little bit here, like just these waves and all the move, like it really does feel like a dream of sorts, and these strange people, the guy with the plant, the fish, almost reminiscent of a Hieronymus Bosch type fish coming out of the water. Like it really feels like a dream, the unplugged TV, but with something on the TV and that YouTube symbol. Or logo, and this person waving in, maybe that's Ed. That's probably Ed. Like, I mean, and again, just the fact that you have these kind of naked guys, like it feels like a kind of classical painting. You know what I mean? And my friends, like, it's just a stunning work of digital art. And I just could not be more thrilled. So, and the color and everything, and even the portrait is so interesting. Kind of like this impressionistic portrait. You know who it reminds me of is like Modigliani, and you probably see that too now, like that big kind of oval head. And so anyway, big shout out to Admirola. Thanks for that. That is something else. That is something else. Here it is, Pocobelli's Dream. Please receive this orchid as a token of gratitude. As we build the road we travel, we pave the imagination of our people, not because we see things, but because we can't do anything else. So some beautiful poetry there. Thank you, Admirola. A one of one. And lest I forget, there is some, just so you get a clue. Should have played this earlier, but here we are. So, just a dream. It really is a dream work. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful surrealist work here. So I just couldn't be I'm blown away. Okay, so stunning. More good news out here. 808 Sketching sold on secondary to Authentic Waffles. So the fun continues out here, everyone. Big shout out to Authentic Waffles, incredible artist. That Derrida Terminator piece is still that was the piece that really just is still in my mind from yesterday when I think of the works we were looking at. Shout out Authentic Waffles, Hasdrubal Waffle, aka, and also sold a work to Alien Drone, a beach work. So thank you for that. You guys are helping fund my art purchases here. I'm going to have to make some more art so I can buy some more art. That's how it works out here in Tezos land. And some interesting comments here. Omar Farouk, and this was on yesterday's episode. If we were to call this a renaissance, we are comparing it to a past that could never have imagined what forms today. And actually, I liked and favorited this. This is an older load up of this screenshot. So it's kind of an interesting topic. It is an interesting topic, this idea of, a digital renaissance. And as I replied after I loaded this up, it's sort of like, it kind of gets used a little loosely, but, the word renaissance and digital renaissance, because if we think, I think technically, what was the Renaissance? And we can go deeper into this in the future, and I think we definitely should. Today, it's a little tricky. You can see all the tabs, and I am really behind. But when you think of what was the Renaissance, it really was a rebirth of classical values. This idea that, I think, was it Gorgias who said man is the measure of all things? A sophist, interestingly. And I think, the humanists in the 16th century, maybe the 15th century, adopted this idea as the manuscripts were coming in of Plato's dialogues. I can't remember. We'll go back in future episodes as to who exactly. I don't think it was Giordano Bruno. It was someone else who translated them. And that was the first thing that I think it was Lorenzo de' Medici wanted translated, were the Platonic dialogues. Wisely, I say. So anyways, when we talk about a renaissance here, what do we mean is kind of another way of framing this. And as Omar says, we're kind of in a different context, and they could have never imagined what we're, involved in as far as the technology. I mean, they could have a vague idea, but you know what I'm saying, or we know what Omar is saying. So anyways, I think this is kind of a seed of a discussion that has been planted here. So we're going to return to that. But I guess the final point I'd make on this is, but when we're seeing the creative explosion that, again, the Cambrian explosion, as I refer to it as, that's happening here, that is how we are getting a bit of a sense of a renaissance. And I think it's really interesting how that term is being used, because I think it's being used in regard to our current context in the arts. And people are saying that this is kind of a rebirth with a new medium, and this digital medium, which is truly revolutionary, as we all know. So anyways, to me, this is a seed of a comment, or a comment that forms a seed for a discussion that can continue for many episodes here. And a really nice comment here that I can't overlook. Quantro Nico, great alpha once again on those on the rise within the Web3 art scene, especially on the great and wonderful Tezos. You make it all the more interesting because you transmit your passion on this subject brilliantly. Thank you. This is what I wanted to highlight, though. I'm now making the move to release some art. Thanks for the encouragement. And as I wrote, all aboard the pirate ship, after some thank yous, all aboard the pirate ship over here. So if you're on the fence, I would, So well done, Quantro Nico. I think that's wonderful. And if this show helps you make that leap, I couldn't be happier. Okay, and big shout out to Apollo and Rada, who we always love to hear from Rada. Great episode, GM, from Rada. So GM back, Rada. Awesome to hear from, as we said in the Twitter spaces with Rada. Rada's who brought us over to Tezos. It was his work. Me and Joe Rogan's dad and I, had the same trajectory, as well as RuneTune, where we discovered Rada's art on Ethereum and then found out there was more on Tezos, and we wanted to collect it. And so we both had separate journeys, but it was the same journey. So Rada, to hear from Rada, who really, was a pretty important factor in ending up on Tezos, is awesome. Continuing on, this is also something I just wanted to touch on here. And again, I don't want to go too long on this. Just this idea that it's open season. So we were discussing AI and basically notions of authorship and copying, and what is appropriate as far as like using other people's style. Charles AI was taking issue with another artist that was maybe using too much of his work or inspired too much by his work in his estimation. Strange Thing has never said anything about that, but we've seen artists who very closely, I don't want to say copy, but are influenced by Strange Thing's work, and even will say so in the homage to Strange Thing. So, as I was kind of casually saying in an episode 2 episodes ago, if we're going to criticize ArtStation people for saying we shouldn't be using their work to sample from, can we complain when other artists are sampling from like an AI artist, right? Because the whole thing is based on sampling. So basically, are we being consistent? And so I was basically saying, I'm kind of more of just, as I say, a laissez-faire kind of artist in this regard. So, it's, as I was saying, it's open season. And what was interesting is Mars Eve NFT and Austin Lawrence both agreed with that take, as far as I understand the comments here. So anyways, great to hear that. And just kind of interesting, again, part of an ongoing discussion. And remember this work from yesterday, those that watched yesterday. This is Jess. She replied, because I didn't know where to put it I didn't know if it was an illustration. Is this a painting? And we have an answer. Thank you for Pocobelli for reviewing my frogs. These pieces are part of my first collection, actually co-created with AI. I use references, photography, color palettes, drawings from my actual gardens and farming experiences, and post-process digitally. So how cool is that? I mean, do you know the word synoptic? Another Greek word, kind of the syn, S-Y-N, is kind of like the all-seeing, like the all. So a synoptic view, optic, is kind of like an all-seeing view. And what I kind of get here is like, this is a person who maybe is using their local garden, IRL, in real life, garden experience, photography, bringing it, and then bringing AI into the mix, and then maybe doing painting. That's just using everything. And I wonder if that's, I don't know if you're watching, Jess, but is that a photo you took? Because if that's a photo you took and then you're going from there to here, I mean, what an astonishing, that's using everything. So, and even if not, even if it's just a, drawing that you made based on your experience in your garden, nevertheless, it's really good looking work. So anyways, thank you for replying. And just a quick kind of update on this royalty situation with OpenSea. In speaking with a number of creators, we heard time and time again that the term creator fee doesn't fully reflect their impact and true nature. Yeah, Super Rare actually put out an email when this was becoming an issue in December the first time, and was really criticizing OpenSea, as far as my memory serves, on this idea of calling them fees. And they were sort of like, I believe they were saying they're royalties, not fees. Starting today, we will exclusively call creator fees creator earnings. So they're really resisting this royalty word, and they have, they kind of go deeper into it, on why, because the word royalties has different meanings. People are wondering why not call them royalties, and I kind of agree. What's wrong with royalties? It seems pretty, especially in the fine art context where you're making a piece and every time it gets resold, you get a royalty. Why not? So I just thought I'd basically go very quickly into their argument. They're saying it's a little boring. Not really. We're just going to go a couple of lines here. Basically, the word royalties has specific but different meanings in various contexts, and the term isn't even applicable to all NFTs. And then here we go. For example, in some cases, creators indicated that royalties implied licensing of their content and not simply support for their work. It doesn't have as uniform a meaning as many assume. I mean, I would call this the straw man argument, because if someone is misunderstanding that a royalty is in fact a license, like I don't assume when I buy a PFP, let's say, for example, or an NFT with a royalty on OpenSea, I don't assume I have a license to it unless it's specifically indicated that it's creator CC0. And then maybe I say, okay, then fair enough. I suppose I can do what I want with it. I don't really need to anyway. But so this is a bit of a straw man argument. I'm not saying that they don't have a case as to why they don't want to call it royalties. But it really seems to me with their language, they're really trying to put the emphasis that it's the creator that is taking the money. So with creator earnings, I kind of like royalties because, again, if I listen to Britney Spears on Spotify, I don't feel like I have a license to use that music. So I don't, it's a royalty. Like I listen to it whenever I want, and just that money that I'm paying for my subscription just goes to the artist. So they seem to be chasing their tail from my perspective, but I'm sure it's much more complicated. Like this is the 1 minute version. So, but yeah, I mean, I just kind of wonder what's going on over there when I see that. So just a heads up that they're now calling it creator earnings. You make of it what you want. So another stunning, I guess we'd call this pixel art work using, vintage software, retro tools, as I like to call them, from Sabato. Stunning, stunning, stunning work of his partner, I believe, in bed with a glass of wine and just a beautiful. This is in the drawing studies where he uses the Amiga and some, Deluxe Paint 4 on an emulated Amiga A1200. I need to pick this up before I upload this. Boo in Repose, dedicated to Mir. And we have a tweet from him. So again, these are just like the combination of, you know what this reminds me of? I mean, not to get too affluent or whatever you want to call it, but it does have a bit of a Renaissance feeling with, and I'm not, just vaguely, okay? But with all the extreme kind of detail and the care to the pattern, okay? And the different kinds of pattern, like he's getting quite elaborate in here. And when I see this, like it reminds me of kind of like either the botany, or the plants, the vegetation that are in Renaissance paintings, or just the design that you often see, say in, just along the trim, you'll often see these kinds of designs. So a very, very beautiful work here from Sabato, and pretty funny too. I love it. And a very modern work, right? And that looks like look at this iPad here. Like, I mean, this is just a gorgeous work. I think you could put it really big on your wall. And the gallery, in my mind, I mean, this is something you walk in, oh, I guess there's a new show with the Pocobelli collection, and you have this, just in the entrance there. I mean, again, if this is the great thing about where we are, because, if you could never, I don't know if you could ever put this up in MoMA. It's too top heavy, too many people, too many things but, if I just had free reign, I'd be like, oh, today, for this week, let's just put Sabato up in the entrance here, massive, with our incredible projectors that we have, with our massive budgets. Anyways, I am never going to get through this show if I don't speed up here, but just a quick background here. This one is a little bit of a domestic fantasia. This is Sabato, a portrait of my partner at their most ideal rest, and my take on the classic Le Repos, the rest painting, a la Manet, etc. Boo in Repose. So this is interesting. I mean, I've never actually heard of this kind of theme. So I brought it up, and I don't know if I even recall this Manet, so really cool. So I brought it up. This is Manet Le Repos. I think that's what it's called. And that is the theme anyway. So anyways, just a very, and it's not like, he really modernized it. This is someone in bed with their laptop and a glass of wine. This could be, any of our lives, I kind of feel like. So really nice work from Sabato. He also put out this thing, which I didn't know too much what's going on with the Dankbots NFT. I was planning to hype this in the morning, but Dankbots NFT went off tonight, minting out all their editions. So I think he contributed. One of them is this exclusive Chrome drawing. This is how Dankbots get their dank, and someone now has this one of one. So another Sabato one of one on the blockchain here. So anyways, kind of looks like a robot theme and Chrome. And so it makes sense, I guess, that you did the Chrome. Cool little kind of, energy charging in here. Anyway, you can take a look. Go to Sabato's Twitter. Another work from Admirola, who we opened the show with. Very interesting piece as usual. An interdimensional being breaks through the veil of space-time to pick mushrooms by the mountain. So as I like to say, Admirola is creating his own road show out here. And this, the poetry is quite interesting here. This guy, or the symbolism, shall I say, is climbing a ladder, eating his, what looks like an Amanita muscaria mushroom, the red and white mushroom here, climbing to the clouds, with a goat looking on a mountaintop. And again, this use of the blur tool is so bold, just really, really interesting work from Admirola as per usual. And yeah, buy for 30 editions of 7. And I don't know what this is, prompt by Son of Stag. So And Son of Stag I've actually seen on Twitter. So maybe this is built off of AI work. Prompt by Son of Stag, and maybe this is the prompt. In my heart of hearts, what I would have loved to have seen with AI is the prompt as the title. I would have loved to have seen the prompt as the title. And so anyways, maybe that's what Ed's doing here. Maybe he's thinking along those lines. Like, that's what I would have loved, but I mean, it kind of gives everything away, right? So maybe that's where things will end up, New Tom Bombadil, Time to Chill, the ever-prolific Tom Bombadil, with a hilarious piece here. His robot Terminator guy with his pipe, almost Sandman type figure, watching TV, looks like with those classic, default colors from the 80s, and on the default TV screen, and a cat above, and at night with a robot. These are pretty mysterious works, aren't they? And he just keeps pumping out these very odd, interesting works, and people are eating them up. Look, edition of 25, and we will quickly look. On sale at 5:57 Berlin time, sold out within 4 minutes at 450, 4 Tezos 50. Again, this I think is the future, my friends, if not the present, but I think it's the future for all artists that can start to get some traction on this blockchain, because I assume that with time, this audience is just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. An audience on the NFT, like say on Tezos, for example, this digital art collecting thing that we're having so much fun with, and people are going to see the financial opportunity as well. That's why I think it's getting kind of aggressive, for lack of a better term, as far as collecting. It's not as easy because people, I think, see the financial opportunity here as well. So, again, like, sure, this you can get for like $7 basically US, and then you have your one of 25. What does a 125 edition Warhol sell for? $10,000? And I'm not saying, obviously those are different traditions and Warhol's famous, but you take my point, like, this is where the opportunity is. As far as the art appreciation, it's sort of like real estate has already happened on, Warhols and Rauschenbergs. But here you get the sense that there's a lot of upside. And again, not financial advice, but I think that's part of, just as by way of explanation as to what might be occurring here, as from what I can tell. And JRD, Joe Rogan's dad, was seeing the same thing. This one, this one was burnt. Space Runner First Generation, but I kind of still just liked it. Sometimes artists burn work I like, and I hope Bite by Bit doesn't mind me showing this. But it looks like his PC Paint, screenshot. And I just thought, I'm a big fan of like white in painting sometimes. And like this is, white with some color. And so here it is, white with some colors. Like it's just got that look, and I just love it. So this was burned. I don't know if he put out a new one. But anyways, I just want to show it because we may never see it again. Françoise Gamma, who a lot of us know, experimental, prolific pixel artist, for lack of a better term. Artist who makes pixel art is almost how I'd put it, and a lot of animation. So just an interesting kind of what I'd call animated abstract, XCB2. And I like how they put like 4 together. Kind of reminiscent structurally to Kristen Roos, who sometimes puts like 4 experiments together, or you remember The City and all that. This I found in Chi Moscow Jackson's collection. Andre Oliveira Cebola is the artist. Generative art made in processing for Java and Java. Okay, initial matrix, all other works in the collection are derived from this code. So this looks like generative art. Interesting, and there it is, kind of big. And there's another one. So same thing, matricial 01. The other one was matricial 00. So interesting, kind of generative pixel art. So it continues to be interesting out here. And on a static front, those are moving. So on the still front, Santiago put out an interesting work on Rarible, keeping things interesting. Santiago, non-human melody. So Interesting, just kind of like, again, playing with noise and pixels here. And just interesting experimentation. Shall we look and see what happened to it? Hopefully I don't crash anything. So it's on ETH. So interestingly, Rarible is Tezos and ETH. So we put it on ETH, interestingly. So current owner, okay, so actually it looks like this is a secondary price because the current owner is Dildophonics. So anyways, yeah, so not sure what's going on there. I just came across that on Twitter and thought it was an interesting piece. Here's another one, prompt to image tools and GIMP. This is my desktop background now, January 2023. So I think this one is new. We looked at a very similar one, I think, yesterday. Find peace at the border and fight the storm with one of those magnifiers you can put as a headband and they have a light. So again, I think like Admirola, this is kind of my instinct would have been originally as well, which is to put the prompt in as the title. I wonder, it seems to me that's what's going on here. I understand why artists might not want to do that, because again, it kind of gives away the keys to the kingdom a little bit, but pretty interesting. And so it kind of looks like a digital collage. So I assume that's the starting point, prompt to image tools, and then GIMP is probably used to basically recycle and reprocess that. Edition of 20 by for 7. Another, very detailed work here. Sabato actually retweeted this out, a work by Sky Goodman. And so this kind of basketball series and using a whole lot of images here. I assume there's some AI, but I don't know that. And here you can kind of see the beginning of a body here. And you wonder, just kind of a very detailed, just an interesting work. And I like this frame here too, around a whole bunch of squares, which look like smaller versions, maybe alternate takes or, close-ups of what's going on. So that's just kind of an interesting thing to see what's going on over there with Sky Goodman. Continuing on, Rustic Digital Art. So he has a new one in his cloud period. And you might notice, if you look closely, for the cloud period, Rustic Digital Art has changed the clouds, or what I could interpret as the clouds. Now they're a little softer. They've always been pretty high contrast, as I'll show you in a second here. And the Mario guy is getting rougher and lighter. And I love this over here, the Super Mario that's breaking down. Again, back to this idea of this is getting pretty sophisticated, what's going on, because it's not like these are just one-off experiments that are never revisited. This is like an ongoing process of, discovery here that's going on with a lot of these artists. Experimentation, what happened, how different ways we can break down, the Super Mario element, right? And mix and match. Looks like he's using the colors from Super Mario. So anyways, very, very interesting. And look at his market here. Minted and listed at 5:43 Berlin time PM, sold out by 5:49. So in 6 minutes. Now, I did it for the culture, picked up 1, 2, was just all over this. 1, 2, 3, 4, bought 5. So so that's part of the reason, but nevertheless, and I guess 2 sold later, or transferred. So transferred to other people, so that's all cool. If you're buying for other people. So anyways, so that if you ever want to know the owners, just click on owners over here and you'll see all the different people. So anyways, just interesting experimentation here. And I just wanted to show this here. So remember, the clouds have always been kind of, high contrast, like very sharply defined digital outlines. And here they start, so it's just like there are no rules here. As Rustic said, he was doing this in response to AI, kind of like purposefully irrational works that AI could never make. So you do see the dominant theme of AI here underneath the surface or overhead of a lot of what's going on here, which I think makes sense because, it's clearly a very important disruptive software. Working Class with another one of these kind of... what is the name of that artist, that famous pop artist that we were discussing the other day? What is his name? Maybe it'll come to me. But these, a little bit graphic over here, clearly. But again, kind of interesting, right? These kind of fragments of reality and kind of media and just some interesting fragments. And here you got the skateboard going over the piano, So let's just read what he says here. Different year, all the same. So maybe even just a summary of sorts of his life. I hate my life, my world. By working class, made with 75% Microsoft Paint and 25% Aseprite. So another theme we've been discussing here is exporting and using multiple tools. So interesting. I send a big shout out to all my homies. Have a good day. So interesting work. Edition of 3. Edgy, right? I mean, this is not like, I would argue this is not just like simple, these are not like childish themes here. These are pretty, I would say, adult in more ways than one. So anyways, sold out again within 15 minutes. Geek with just a strange work. And this looks like real painting in the background here. And this, I assume, is digital. Not sure. Red Room. So just an interesting work by Geek. Buy for 4. 7 left, so they are half gone. Let's see, 2, 4, 5 are gone. Okay, so this just came out last night, so new one from Geek. Trezor Rodin's continuing his surrealist still lives. Odd combinations here, battery and butter, a Microsoft Paint work, and it looks like maybe a cactus in the shadow here. So just interesting, odd juxtapositions, interesting experiments here, expanding our ideas of what can be put together. Kind of, to me, this is kind of like classic surrealism of sorts. Now, in surrealism, of course, it is the wedding of two opposite realities in a new context. Here, we're generally getting just the wedding of two opposite realities. And the context here, I guess, is the red or the green. Okay, a dog and phone. So interesting. I like how it's just very kind of hand done and some messages over here. So just again, somewhere you'd never find a phone generally in a dog's mouth and this crazy hand here. So just interesting work from Trezor Rodin at auction for 5 Tezos. This is someone I've noticed in other people's collections and just here and there, who I just think is really interesting. Maybe we can open their page here. Rocano, B-Boy. Also working similar to Dan Control, working with gradients, but totally with his own kind of feel. Outlines and gradients. You see this sun here. So very interesting. Again, a very interesting composition, kind of like a housing unit here. Another housing unit, almost looks like a face. And just like these bricks that come out. Again, almost like, I don't want to overstate things, but when I see elements like this, it almost has like a Paul Delvaux feel to it. But maybe that's just overstating. But that's what it reminds me of. And even here, just seeing these, it almost looks like what's across the street from me here in Berlin if this just continued. You get kind of like stuff like this on the top floor, and there'd be like 5 floors here. That's basically what I look out onto across the street. Cool work. And here is Rocano's work. So here's just some pixel work, but these are kind of the ones. So I guess this might be older. I probably saw this on Twitter and didn't realize. It's probably from a week or 2 ago. When is the date on this? December 26th. So this is about 3 weeks old. So anyways, I find these works, though, pretty interesting. Again, like see this gradient here with almost like the Jamaican flag colors and pretty experimental stuff, right? So that is, I think, Rocano, digital designer. Interesting. Sad Music for Kids, remember them? So they have a new work, Parahu, the arc based on vintage boat tin toys from the 80s. And maybe I will venture to open their page. Remember they made these really great illustrations a couple of months ago? So they're back. And with almost, just a really interesting, unusual illustration here. Very interesting decisions here to let the underneath bleed through. Again, to me, this just says sophistication. This is not an accident, right? This is digital. You can easily fix this. As far as I understand, it's digital. So even just, I don't know if you can see it here. Maybe I can zoom in. No, I can't zoom in. But if you look really closely, you can see there's a white outline of this sun. which stops here. So just these kinds of decisions, even just the white that goes here, there's a lot of decisions. It almost looks like a cutout that are involved here. JPEG, based on vintage boat tin toys from the 80s. It could almost hang in the same room as those Dan Control toys. So sad music for kids, based out of Jakarta, our international scene here. Continuing on, Chago. And I think we looked at Chago's work earlier. And so just, I believe, a new one, a flower with just these odd kind of rectangles. And I don't know if you can see it, but this is a white here, and this is a yellow background, okay? But this red looks identical, and this yellow looks identical inside the box. And then you see here, so just interesting work here. Bloom came out yesterday, part of Interceptions. And dare I open up? Yeah, so we've looked at some of this work before, and it's selling. Last sold 0.2, 0.25. These are nice sales, right? So very nice. That is, again, Chago with a T. Rada, big shout out to Rada again. Hoist Your Colors. So he has some new works that he just put out on Tezos. Some interesting kind of rough, kind of almost like sketches with almost like, it kind of looks with the classic rat with the pirate flag here. Hoist Your Colors, and we love pirates over here. Again, that's what I was going to say to Admirola, something with pirates, and I was like, no, just do what you want. So anyways, yeah, I love the pirates here. Hoist Your Colors. So a few works. So I don't know, I wonder if he has something planned here, because it almost looks like either a coin or one of those kind of telescopes that you have on a ship where you see the guy. I wonder if it's just the telescope here. Maybe he has nothing planned, but it almost looks like coins here, right? And so anyways, kind of has almost like a Walt Disney kind of drawing kind of feel to it. Here's another one, just these kind of quick sketches. Ahoy me, hearties. And of course, look, 109, editions of 109. Did he, like, I mean, this is how popular Rada is. Like, this is probably also, oh no, just transferred, okay? Look at that. So a nice transfer, probably to his previous collectors here. And so I'm just curious. Let's just look at what happened here. Edition of 1. So he's trying out different things here. And just an offer from Indio Robot. Shout out to Indio Robot. And here's another one. So interesting work. The Drowned Rat, Side Quests of Captain Dead Rat Pirate. So some cool works, black and white from Rada. There's a lot of psychedelic work that came out, LSD doses. I saw this in Uxeen's collection there as I was looking at his activity page. It's a nice place to be if you're an artist, if Uxeen buys one of your works, because a lot of people are looking at his activity page. Anyways, kind of a Rolling Stones with a pill on it. And this is to really introduce a whole bunch of psychedelic fueled or flavored artwork here. This is ATV as well. So that was ATV. And then I was looking at ATV's page. Kind of some wild works, again, released, again, January 13. That's this morning. That's a few hours ago. These interesting Bart Simpson with like a mohawk, kind of wild works here, right? Buy for 90 cents, edition of 30, 90 Tezos cents. Ads is the name. So interesting work, edition of 7 for 420. My name is Super Donald. And just some incoherence here in the description. So just kind of wild, interesting work. Like one of the things I found particularly interesting, just from a purely technical point of view, was how effective ATV is at getting this kind of neon feel to it. And I assume it's just like a palette you can use, because it's not like my screen is glowing here, other than the normal luminescent glow. But I'm just really impressed at how the neons are kind of coming out here. Like it really gives a sense of like blacklight, you know? So anyways, so using that as his palette here, like really nice, cool use of the palette with all these Simpsons inspired works here. And yeah, so anyways, and also someone sent me just a couple of days ago his work, this Bad Trippy Mickey series, and that was going around quite a bit actually. So while we're here, yeah, he also did this Bad Trippy Mickey series, and you can see like pretty elaborate works. Right? So anyways, just a heads up on that. ATV, give him a follow. And continuing on the trippy theme here, Acid Boy, GN, good night. So he put out a few works here, and he's really getting good at this whole kind of basically psychedelic NFTs, for lack of a better word, psychedelic abstraction. I generally tend to call this genre animated abstract. There's just like abstract works that move, and you could just, it's just kind of a loose category I have. I don't know how you'd pronounce this, Isubio. And so Acid Boy put out 4 of these works. So anyway, we'll go through them here. Interesting, opposite sides of the color wheel, blue and orange here. And, I don't know how he does it, actually. Like, maybe Acid Boy is going into hyperspace and coming back with some serious ideas here. So anyways, pretty wild. I mean, kind of hypnotic stuff. Apuos, almost more semi-incoherence in the title here. So Acid Stuff is the name of the series. And here's the last one. A 1 of 1, by the way. Buy for 150 Tezos. And yeah, Tezos is rising in price. We're getting a bit of a pump here in the crypto markets. So I hope you bought lots when we're at 70-cent Tezos, or 70, yeah, it was 70 cents Tezos. I don't know what we're at now. I assume around 85 cents or something like that. So anyways, nice work. Problem Solver, great title. Acid Boy. And a new artist, again, I think I discovered this from Chi Moscow Jackson's collection, Dr. Version. And so again, kind of like this psychedelia. And there's a couple of works here. This is called Pink Ignition, and this is called Gold Polychrome. And just kind of nice abstract works, kind of reminiscent of LB. Did I put an LB? I think I have an LB coming up here too. Somfei is another artist. I don't think I was following them, but, interesting just kind of video work. I assume we'd call this video work, kind of psychedelic video work. Half animated, half representational, half abstract, half representational. Almost makes a skull. And look at all everything that's being used here. Tachyons, recorded to VHS via Panasonic, played back through a Sony. Again, so traveling through the mediums, right? Going from one to another and back. And that is how you often get these super rich textures, and then edited in Adobe Premiere. So Somfei, Life Force, good title too. And let's continue. And this is, I thought, very interesting too. And I think there's some music here. Let's see. A portrait of the artist at work. Now that might just be the artist. I probably should stop that music, because that's probably music, real music, that is copyright. So we should stop that. But anyways, cool portrait of the artist at work here. There's a studio. There's a modern art studio for you. Continuing on, LB. Just waiting for the LB to show up now, right? Slowly fading away. Again, multiple tools here. Nice title, Reminder. Nice kind of small 800 by 600 pixels, like a traditional screen, I think, from like the 90s or the 80s. And just kind of psychedelic. A lot of these rainbow colors in the air here. So something's going on out there. Edition of 15, buy for 5. And I hope this can load up. I'm having internet issues here. Let me try. A new one from Kurt Hustle Collective, Neural Net. Let's see if we can get KHC's ad working here. Almost like 80s music. So, pretty cool. Neural Net. He has a few Neural Net works. I highly recommend you check them out. Get back to real living. He's got a bit of a kind of satire, I think, on the metaverse. And just on this whole kind of digital living. There's some serious cultural commentary in Kurt Hustle Collective. One of the many, many, many reasons I love his work. And let me just stop that. And some more wallpaper, Puffy Pioneers. Again, there's something very pop about these wallpapers that I really like. And I even really like that white background. Again, they're making, Kurt Hustle Collective, wallpaper for your phone. I guess. 1920 by 1080, or for your HD TV. So pretty cool. Again, it has a real pop feel to it. Edition of 7 by for 10. Sad Girl was just another glitchy kind of anime work. And so just kind of cool work here. What is the title? Reprisal, with their beautiful text description here. Edition of 6, and look, I mean, Sad Girl has some pretty big fans. Already some pretty nice offers coming in. Feels is all over it, and Feels is a really interesting animated abstract artist. A couple of songs here, so I don't want to, this is 2 minutes and 42 seconds. I can't play the whole thing, but I can play a little bit just to give you a taste of what's going on here. Because I find this music thing very interesting, okay? Again, kind of back to this idea of the digital renaissance, you know, when you start getting music, an explosion of music and art, visual arts, and what's kind of maybe structurally kind of makes it a bit of a digital renaissance is this is all done, these are just people putting out their work away from that whole corporate, top-heavy, you know, music industry, art industry, contemporary art world. People are just putting out their work and they're selling it. And in that respect, the market conditions are there for a kind of quote-unquote renaissance, using the term loosely. And so as we continue that debate, you know, when I see stuff like this, it just kind of heightens the thesis that something is going on out there, a cultural movement of sorts. And this is a pretty nice track by One of One Neo Music and Maza Mizart, almost a Detroit. You hear that? Kind of glitched out. The Detroit pads. Like, good title. So check that out, because it's a nice track and interesting, right? 3 minutes and 8 seconds. Like, it's a real full track, and there's the lyrics. One of One Neo Music. Buy for 30, edition of 15. Did this sell out? Let's just see what's going on market-wise here. Our inner speculator is curious. Yeah, so sold for $8.88 on primary, and sold, how long did it take? 2 days. Oh, this is way back in July 2022. So I probably came across this, maybe it was repriced or something, and it showed up in my notifications. Either way, so that's from way back when, but still interesting, isn't it? As we wrap up here, we have some generative art, which we don't often go into here, but I thought this was just a kind of interesting take on, I guess, landscapes, right? Because this is, what is this? Eucalyptus and sagebrush is inspired by the eucalyptus trees and sagebrush found in California. These plants and hills they inhabit. So you see, and this is by an artist called Nat Sarkisian, and you see, like, you just play with these elements of landscape and then put them into a generative art script of sorts and end up with all these different kinds of landscapes. So I think a really cool series here, because, you know, they're quite beautiful, right? They're quite successful in their own way. So just kind of interesting to see. Porta Malmar, again from Chi Moscow Jackson's collection. We were looking at this artist earlier, and let's just see. Yeah, like, you accept offer of 4. Like, Porta, they do digital collage, Porta Malmar, and they're selling them extremely cheap if you put an offer in. So you can always just kind of see what's going on. This is from a couple of days ago. Nice piece. And also Bolin 132, the NFT collection showcases my signature, so digital collage and digital painting. So more collage here, but mixed with some painting. A one of one, which they often do, Bolin 132, and you can get that for 27. So an interesting artist, all sorts of stuff going on in their work, as you can see here. They're pretty prolific, that's for sure. This looks quite interesting here too. La Rue, edition of 12. So you see, they're putting out several works. Yeah, so my object's a little slow to load today, but here you go. You can see it. Buy for a Tezos 30. just to give you the picture. So again, digital collage and digital painting. So there is the piece. Excellent. Lachy. Marina Amadova, Personal Space. And so we've been looking at Marina's AI work and, of course, the collaboration from yesterday. So here's some new ones. Here are some new ones, or a new one. And again, using those circles and almost these twin type figures. So this is AI. And a really cool piece by Shirley Preston, Sir Geoffrey and his Kindle Fire. And Sir Geoffrey was thrilled to get a used Kindle Fire for Christmas. The first thing he did was to load Web Zero verification by Uxine for his official portrait. So this is an AI work, right? I assume maybe with some Photoshop with the Uxine put in there. And you see the Uxine in the middle of the Kindle Fire. I thought this was a really original, just fun, interesting work. I assume this is AI. And another AI work, EdgeQ, 3 is the magic number, which reminds me of a Acid House track from way back, Deep Heat, if you know those. That was like, yeah, early 90s. My brother had those, the Deep Heat compilation. Anyways, 3 is the magic number. Maybe this is referring to the 3 kings here, but there's a musical side to this. So anyways, just another work from EdgeQ's really cool AI art series that he's been working on. And finally, Connect Zapta with a one-of-one, another rainbow kind of AI artwork, kind of interesting kind of cream colors there, organized by the logic of expanding the design space for transclusion. Wild title, Midjourney generated image. So Paisajitos is a collection of generated landscapes. So just interesting work over there. And I think Ile may have retweeted this. Someone did. The Architectures of Vulnerability on Mars has a real DALL-E feel to it too, these works. I almost wonder if DALL-E was somehow incorporated in. It really has that kind of biomorphic, organic, curvilinear forms that you often find. And even the compositionally, it just seems distantly DALL-E-esque, doesn't it? Even the sea here, this landscape, surreal landscapes. Oblique Oblivion is the artist. And Rodrigo Thuga, Creation Knows No Borders. So just some more interesting AI artwork here. Some, mineral and organic and, almost looks like sea creatures or sea life. Continuing on, another AI work, Jono, The Vestige of the Non-Fungible Dream, AI art. So kind of matte. I think we've looked at Jono's work before. Just these really interesting interiors here with more green light. And another one from Delta Sauce, Soundwave Stereo. These are fairly, I've made a few retro computers or synthwave computers in Midjourney. They're pretty easy to make in a sense, some of these. So here's a really cool ghetto blaster, but it's a fun thing to experiment with, these experimental technologies. You get these kind of results, but with the beautiful palette of Delta Sauce. And I thought just as this is made in Blender, and I thought it was pretty interesting. No sound here, but really looks like an impressionist, like a Manet or a Renoir type of painting here. 80 level, Farouk Tausif presented a new hand-painted 3D illustration made entirely in Blender. So that's getting pretty interesting. And I've seen AI can be used in Blender too, if I'm not mistaken. I don't use Blender. You got to pick your battles out here. And Ilya Shkipin, and he has a new, I don't know if they're calling it Neo Sculpture, but a new AI sculpture. So, which is kind of profoundly ironic because it seems to be a 2D image, but I'm sure we're just not that far away from being able to turn this into a 3D sculpture. So interesting to pay attention to and very interesting results, kind of where painting meets sculpture. And again, the irony of a sculpture rendered as a 2D image. And this is just a final kind of interesting work here. Maybe you saw this, but I just thought, we're interested in all things visual culture out here. And we've kind of all seen, for lack of a better term, this trope before, but it wasn't an ad, but someone put this object detection stuff. I mean, kind of has a real governmental feel to it, doesn't it? I think these squares, again, rendered by computers, I think these squares are incredibly interesting. though, where it just takes your full outline and then just does a 90-degree, the edge of the pixels of whatever you are or whatever the subject is, and then makes a box around it. I think visually it's quite beautiful, we could argue. I mean, so just an interesting visual trope here I thought we could look at. And that, my friends, is your show. Thank you again for watching. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Until next time, take care.